This is the Skywatch Media News special report for March 1st, 2019. In a dramatic warning recently released from the U.S. Geological Survey, residents of California are being advised that they should anticipate a powerful volcanic eruption within the next 30 years. The new USGS report states that a series of volcanic eruptions, mainly in the Cascadia Range of Northern California, have taken place in the last 1,000 years, and that future volcanic eruptions are inevitable. According to the report, an eruption is likely to occur based on the risk factors of the last 4,000 years or more. The estimated likelihood of an eruption in the next 30 years is estimated to be in the range of 16%. When comparing the chances of an earthquake with that of a volcanic eruption, the percentages are similar, with the chances of a 6.7 or higher magnitude earthquake at the San Andreas Fault being 22% within the next 25 years. If the findings are accurate, then this is big news, because it increases the risks that millions of Californians already face from a host of potentially damaging disasters, including earthquakes, tsunamis, and wildfires. The USGS report has listed 8 volcanoes that presently pose a risk to California, based on state of unrest, frequency of eruptions, and the location of the volcanoes in relation to the population density. 7 of the volcanoes shown here have magma beneath them and therefore are considered active. The one which is located in the Sierra Nevada range is one of the biggest calderas in the world, measuring 20 miles by 10 miles with a depth of 3,000 feet. The caldera has a vast reservoir of semi-molten magma measuring a staggering 240 cubic miles. It formed during a super eruption around 760,000 years ago. A perfect example of what may take place in California when volcanoes accelerate their activity can be found at Lassen Peak in Shasta County. In the span of 4 years, beginning in the year 1914, this volcano produced a series of steam blasts, leading up to a larger explosion that sent a column of ash 30,000 feet into the atmosphere and unleashed destructive pyroclastic flows and lahars across the region in the year 1915. The ash produced by this eruption drifted 275 miles to the east and fell as far away as Elko, Nevada. The steam blasts and lahars continued for several years after the explosion took place. So what the USGS is emphasizing in their report is that unlike earthquakes along the North American plate and its shorter-term associated hazards, the hazards of eruptions within California's volcanic zone can last for decades, making the risk they impose upon society all the more important. Understanding the exposure of whatever may be in harm's way is the first step in mitigating a volcanic risk.
Lassen Peak. Its beauty belies its simmering potential. It is at the top of the state's volcano watch list.
The volcano is still very much active. That's why we have these wonderful hydrothermal areas.
California is not only earthquake country, it is also volcano country.
Dr. Maggie Mangan is the scientist in charge at the USGS California Volcano Observatory in Menlo Park.
The threat is real, and the potential for another volcanic eruption in the state of California is on the order of 1 in 100 to about 1 in a couple thousand in any given year.
Would you buy a lottery ticket with those odds? Well, those odds are why the USGS monitors all 8 volcanoes in the watch list. Lassen Peak and Mount Shasta in the north, and Long Valley Caldera east of Yosemite are California's high-threat volcanoes. Monitoring stations at the volcanoes themselves gather seismic and gas readings, along with data on changes in land topography, then streams it all in real time to this operations room at the observatory. Scientists also watch the molten rock, or magma, flowing 3 miles below Lassen Peak.
We keep a watch on that because if we start to see anything migrating toward the surface, it might suggest that the magmatic system is going to be replenished, and that could provoke an eruption.
Dr. Mike Klin has studied Lassen Peak since 1975. Lassen last erupted in May of 1915, miraculously captured on film. There were no known deaths and only a few minor injuries. But should Lassen or Shasta blow today, and it will,
it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
The results would be more complicated and concerning depending on the severity and the other conditions like weather. But it would not take us by surprise.
It's likely that you would see weeks to months of warning.
Scientists learn a lot from history. It is a determined odds maker.
The number of volcanic eruptions that occur within the state of California in just the last 1,000 years are about the same as the number of large damaging earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault. We take that hazard seriously. We need to take the volcano hazard seriously.
A major eruption along the roughly 840-mile stretch of California is likely to impact the natural resources and the infrastructure on a wide scale, in which case the next step would be to assess various volcanoes and sites for vulnerabilities in order that mitigation strategies can be implemented. This is a difficult undertaking because it involves the efforts of scientists, property managers, civil authorities, emergency personnel, and the cooperation of communities. On a daily basis, there are over 200,000 people that live, work, or travel through California's volcanic hazard zone. Therefore, close monitoring of California's active volcanoes is advised by the study to give advanced warning of any eruption. It now appears that agencies that monitor potential disaster are stepping up their efforts on a grand scale to prepare communities and individuals for volcanic disasters and the hazards that they now warn as being inevitable. Changes that are happening in our time are occurring on the surface of our planet and within the Earth's atmosphere. On February 28th, a fast-moving stream of solar wind engulfed the Earth, with speeds near 1.2 million miles per hour. As a result of the recent geostorm, our planet's magnetic field rumbled and shook. We are now in the weakest solar cycle in 200 years. Amid the dimmest sun since the year 1978, it has just passed an entire calendar month with no sunspots. So far this year, the sun has been blank 73% of the time. The last time a full calendar month passed without a sunspot was August of the year 2008. So what is this telling us about the intensity of cosmic rays? As the 11-year solar cycle plunges into one of the deepest minima of the space age, the cosmic rays have increased in the Earth's atmosphere for the 4th straight year. The gray points in this graph are Earth-to-sky balloon data. Overlaid on that time series is a record of neutron monitor data from the Geophysical Observatory in Finland. There has been an approximate 13% increase in X-rays and gamma rays over Central California, where hundreds of balloons have been launched since March of 2015. Therefore, cosmic rays are increasing as our star heads into solar minimum. Earth-to-sky balloon launches in multiple countries and U.S. states show that this is indeed a widespread phenomenon. The sun's weakening magnetic field and the flagging solar wind are not protecting us as usual from deep space radiation. As you look to the sky, remember this simple thought. Many scientists, scholars, and mystics have looked to the sky for answers over many centuries. Each one looks at the stars and experiences something different, and each one sees their own unique and special picture of the sky, of what it represents, and the message that it conveys. Thanks for watching.